Good afternoon, and we welcome you to Ringgold Senior High School as Harold Standard's coverage of the PIAA State Playoffs continues this afternoon as the road to Hershey, Pennsylvania begins this afternoon for the Uniontown Red Raiders. Last night, the Brownsville Falcons moved into the second round. I'm Joseph Hoke along with Chuck Durso, and Chuck, Uniontown begins their run now, possibly back to Chocolatetown.
And following a one-week layoff, Uniontown has to recover for what I'm sure is a letdown, a disappointing defeat at the hands of Char Valley in the WPIAL championship game 1 week ago, Saturday afternoon at the A.J. Palumbo Center. Going into that game, the Red Raiders were on a serious roll, winners of 12 straight games, but Char Valley, playing a soft man-to-man defense, was able to give the Raiders some trouble. They struggled, trailed early, comeback at the end fell just a bit short. So now tonight, or this afternoon I guess we should say, they'll try to start another winning streak. The big number now is 5 in a row.
5 in a row to get to Chocolatetown, and that is where Uniontown would love to get back to. But another problem last week, Chuck, the Red Raiders just did not get the ball. It dropped.
Well, they didn't shoot well from outside, and again, I think what we saw was a little different defensive strategy by Char Valley. They played a soft man-to-man. They played off of point guard David Winfrey. They dared Uniontown to beat them from outside. We've said throughout the playoffs here on HSTV Sports Show that if Uniontown shoots well from the outside, no one can beat them. Conversely, if they don't shoot well from outside, they can at times look like an ordinary team. That's what Char Valley did last week. And Penn Hills, you know they saw that game. You know they've been watching that film. Don't be surprised if they don't try the same strategy here today.
So, should be a good one for the Uniontown Red Raiders. There will be one change in the starting lineup. De'Aaron Jenkins will reappear for tonight for Brandon Duncan. It should be Vaughn, Jenkins, Winfrey Jacob, and Nelson Jones. And for the Penn Hills Indians, it should be Blaine Givner, Justin Stubblefield, Byron Knight, Nick Tenati, and Jason Taylor. One started out, Harold Supples. I'll tell you what, Penn Hills is a team, Chuck, that has not played in a long time, and you know, this is not the Big East tournament where I think the layoff is going to hurt you, is going to help you here. I don't know about Penn Hills. They came out of a tough section. They're 14-11 overall. They were a loser to Char Valley in the opening round of the Whitfield playoffs, but that layoff has got to hurt you.
Well, last night I was here on this same floor for that Brownsville victory that you alluded to a few moments ago, and Brownsville hadn't played in a week, and it showed early in the game. They were very rusty in the first quarter. In fact, that's something to look at for Uniontown today as well. But there's a big difference between 1 week and about 2.5, 3 weeks. That's how long it has been since Penn Hills has played, and that's tough. You can practice all you want, you can scrimmage against one another, but there's nothing that can prepare you for getting on the court and facing that Uniontown Red Raider pressure defense. I think it's very important for the Raiders to get off to a quick start because you know Penn Hills will be rusty early, so Uniontown has to capitalize on that, force a lot of early turnovers, and do what they failed to do against Char Valley, and that's get the early lead and then put your foot on their throat and stomp the life out of them. Isn't that a nice image?
Yeah, don't give them any hope tonight that they can this afternoon and stay in that ball game. I think another thing that may not be a big factor here, but subtly, this game time was changed 3 times. And it may not seem like much, but when you get your first game time, you start preparing as a coach, you know, your bus schedule and everything. You've changed it 3 times. The kids get a little bit antsy. There was people here thinking this was the second game, the first game. May not be a big deal, but them kind of little things sometimes upset the flow of what's going on.
If it means anything, though, I think that the later you start a little bit better because these players are used to playing in the evening, so earlier starts can be difficult to get up for, and noon is a very early starting time. You're not used to that. 3 o'clock is a little closer to what your normal starting time will be, so that may help the youngsters out there a little bit. But the bottom line is both teams have to start at the same time. It's the same court, and it's just whoever does a better job out there, and we're just about ready to get going.
Ringgold's third, this will be Uniontown's third appearance on the Ringgold floor this year. They defeated the Rams in the section game. Defeated McKeesport in the opening round of the District 7 playoffs. And now, this afternoon, they take on the Penn Hills Indians. And we're going to get the national anthem here. to Hershey, Pennsylvania for the Penn Hills Indians and the Uniontown Red Raiders to begin this afternoon. Destination, as we said, Chocolatown. The Uniontown Red Raiders, the defending state runner-ups, Western Regional champions. Last year, if you remember, they were defeated by the same Indians. And Chuck, remember way back ago in the first round of the Whitfield playoffs, you said, old friends. Well, the Penn Hills Indians and the Uniontown Red Raiders are going to renew acquaintances again this afternoon.
Well, Chartiers Valley, of course, the surprise team this year in Quad A that came from a third-place finish in their section to win the WPIAL championship. That's exactly what Penn Hills did last year, finishing third place in their section, upset Uniontown in the semifinals, then Butler, beating Butler for the Whitfield title. So Uniontown going to look for a little revenge tonight as they start, hopefully, the road to Hershey.
And Chuck, you can get us started as always here in quarter number one.
Opening tap is controlled by the Penn Hills Indians. It's Indians against the Red Raiders. And we'll watch the feathers fly here this afternoon from Ringgold Gym.
Indians and Red Raiders.
I know, yeah. And now quick pass inside and a quick turn. Well, they do call it a turnover finally as Taylor was unable to handle the pass inside. And again, there you go early. We look for Penn Hills probably to be rusty out on the court and to have trouble with that pressure Uniontown defense. But again, the key isn't the first few minutes. The key is the Raiders keeping the pressure on. They forced some early turnovers against Char Valley as well, but they couldn't keep the pressure on. Winfrey may have shuffled the feet a little bit, gets away with it, but now the pass is stolen, re-stolen by Terrence Vaughn, and the Raiders will set up the offense again.
Penn Hills opening up that little man-to-man.
There's Jenkins back in the starting lineup after being the sixth man for the past few weeks.
I'll tell you what, Penn Hills very aggressive early in this game with their man-to-man.
Gary no good. Jacobs with the putback. That's no good as well. And boy, that was the story last week. How many offensive rebound putbacks the Raiders missed was probably the key against Char Valley. Now we get a miss on the other end. Taylor tries to keep it alive, but Nelson Jones will run down the ball, and the Raiders will bring it back up court.
Penn Hills looks very quick here in the early going.
Now Jacobs inside. Taylor on him. Vaughn gets it back from Winfrey. He'll put it up for three. That's no good. And the rebound pulled down by Taylor for the Penn Hills Indians.
Taylor could be a problem, Chuck. He's the big kid in the middle. Uniontown really size-wise, nobody to match up with him.
A minute 20 into this game and no score yet. Now Winfrey loses his feet, but Jacobs is there for the steal, but they'll call him for the foul as he gets a piece of Justin Stubblefield. That will be the first foul of the afternoon.
Tell you what, we talked about quickness. Penn Hills right now looks very quick off the block. And I tell you what, their man-to-man down here on this end is very, very aggressive. Quickness-wise, Chuck, this might be one of, right now at least, looks like Penn Hills may be one of the rare teams that matches up stride for stride with the Red Raiders.
And now Winfrey almost a steal. Blaine Givner dribbling up top. This is Byron Knight. And number 3 is Justin Stubblefield. Now try to get it inside to Taylor. Gets the entry pass. Nice job up in and a foul.
I tell you what, great catch by the big kid down inside and be able to keep presence of mind. Go straight to the glass, get the bucket.
Foul's going to be called on Terrence Vaughn. That is his second team foul on the Red Raiders. And Penn Hills, not a lot of size, but they do got the one
big kid,
really big kid there in Taylor.
Great presence of mind, though. Great catch inside with 2 Red Raiders hanging on him.
Free throw, spins out. And the score remains 2-0.
Tell you what, he's 6'5", and I bet you he's well over 200 pounds inside.
Penn Hills in the man-to-man. Giving Winfrey lots of room. Again, we saw that last week from Char Valley and Chris Jacobs. First 2 points of the afternoon for the Red Raiders. We are knotted at a pair apiece.
You brought up a good point last week against Char Valley. They were 10, 15 feet off him. They were playing in the paint, giving help on the drive to everybody else.
Contact but no call. We'll get a jump ball, and this will go to the Red Raiders with the alternate possession. Absolutely, Joe. I think that word has gotten around David Winfrey for all of the things that he brings to the table, and he brings a lot to the table. The one thing he is not good at is shooting from the outside. The teams are just going to slough off on him and double down on some other players. Char Valley used that strategy to perfection last week. Now here's Nelson Jones on the turnaround, and the Red Raiders have their first lead of the day.
Real good quick move inside on Nelson Jones. And another thing is, David's got to be a little bit more offensive-minded.
And we'll get a foul called here on the floor as Jenkins will be called for his first. The thing is, you could be offensive-minded, but it doesn't matter how offensive-minded you are if you don't get the shot to go down.
Well, the thing I'm talking about offensive-minded is David really doesn't penetrate a whole lot either. He needs to take somebody off the dribble every once in a while. That'll force people to come out on him. He does not look to score, and I know he's the point guard, but your point guard's got to get you at least 8 points.
Up and in by Nick Tonati, and we are tied at 4. Raiders come back down court.
But I will say this, there's a good flow to this game right now for Uniontown.
Jacobs baseline, got it. 4 points for Jacobs, and the Raiders back on top 6-4. 5:02 left in the first period.
Trying to clear down here a little bit.
Jenkins up top on Stubblefield, now into the corner to Givner.
Good. Another thing Shar Valley did last week that right now Penn Hills is not doing, and we'll get after it as Nick Donato buries another one, is last week they spread Uniontown out and took all the help defensively away from the Red Raiders. Right now, Penn Hills not really spreading the floor as much as Shar Valley.
Donati has 4, and we're tied at 6. Now there's Winfrey. Nelson Jones from the elbow. That's strong. Gets the deflection, back up, that's no good. And Taylor gets the rebound finally, tries to bang it off of Jacobs. That doesn't work. Jenkins loses control of the ball, and now Jacobs shows Taylor how to do it. This is how you bang it off of an opponent, and the Raiders will inbound.
That was an ugly sequence.
Well, it works for Uniontown, though. They're back. Taylor was trying to do the heads-up play, and a nice bounce for the Raiders, but Jenkins couldn't get the shot to go down. De'Ari Jenkins back in the starting lineup. We'll talk about that a bit more, but right now it's Jacobs kicking it out to Winfrey, swing it around to Jenkins. Now Winfrey up top.
Yeah, they back everything out. See, they're off of him. Panato's going to step into the paint.
In and out with the 3 from the corner was De'Ari Jenkins. Now the rebound by Givner, and he's going to try to bring it all the way up court, and we'll get contact call. No contact, just out of bounds off of the Red Raiders.
As soon as they make that pass, Nick Tanato's already in the paint. You know, they're not even denying David Winfrey the ball back. And usually a coach will tell you if the point guard gives it up, don't let him get it back.
Now the baseline drive, but no good by Stubblefield. Nelson Jones with the rebound. Raiders on the run. Terrence Vaughns will get the 3. No good. Nelson Jones can't get the rebound. Byron Knight.
And that's another thing. Shar Valley never let them get into their running game last Saturday afternoon.
3:34 left in the first period. We are tied at 6. First round action in the PIAA Boys Quad A tournament. Now Uniontown with that pressure man-to-man defense. Givner almost stepped on the midcourt line. Now we'll get a push called on Winfrey.
Uniontown mounting up fouls here, Chuck. That's 4 already on them, and we still got over 3 minutes to go in quarter number 1. But you're right, though. At least Uniontown is really coming out, pressuring the basketball, trying to force the guards of Penn Hills to turn it over.
Into the game now, Brandon Duncan for De'Ari Jenkins. McLee will also enter the game. And Jones will take a seat. Jenkins, of course, injured at in the first Laurel Highlands game this year. Duncan stepped into the starting lineup. Uniontown went on a roll, and basically head coach Dave Shuck didn't want to break up a winning combination. Uniontown won 12 straight games, and as long as they were winning, he went with that rotation. Now the turnaround is no good. Rebound by Winfrey. And ahead of the field, right idea, but the pass stolen, and look at Jacobs with the defense, steals it right back.
Well, Kevin McLean in the game now, too, Chuck. A little bit of size, gives them a little bit more size inside.
Taylor caught napping there by Jacobs. Now Jacobs on the dribble drive. That's no good. There's McLee with the rebound. Keeps it alive. Now Terrence Vaughns. Brandon Duncan is open. That's for 3, but no good. Look at McLee again with the offensive rebound. Third shot by Duncan, and we'll get contact, and Duncan will go to the line. Kevin McLee with 2 offensive rebounds in that sequence.
Good job by Kevin. That's what usually what they bring him off the bench for. Pound inside, get him a presence inside on the glass. Good job by Brandon Duncan also to keep it alive.
Taylor's called for the foul. That's the first Penn Hills foul of the afternoon, and Duncan will shoot a pair from the line. Just to finish up the thought again, Coach Shuck not wanting to break up a winning combination. Uniontown winners of 12 games in a row, the final 9 games of the regular season, and then the first 3 rounds of the WPIAL playoffs, and he just played a winning hand after losing to Shar Valley. Dave Shuck decides to go back with Jenkins in the starting lineup, so now it's Duncan off the bench. He hits both of his free throws, and Uniontown back on top, 8-6.
So half-court, now 1-3-1, it comes to half-court trap now.
2:40 left here in the first period. Ball worked into Donato in the corner. Now the double team. There is the trap. Duncan and McLee, and the ball out of bounds. McLee touched it last.
You know, last night, Chuck, you did the game, and I was here to watch the Browns game. I thought Indian Valley this year was the best team I've seen handle in a half-court trap. Well, they did the things the right way you're supposed to do it.
They stayed in that game for nearly 3 quarters and gave Brownsville all they could have wanted in a first-round matchup, but the Falcons prevailed. Now it's the Raiders' turn, but here's Taylor inside, and for the second time in the first quarter, he will go to the line to try to convert a 3-point play. McLee called for the foul this time.
5 team fouls. Getting back to last night, the way that they attacked it is the way most coaches tell you to attack a half-court trap. Split the top, stay off the sidelines, don't let them trap. And I'll tell you what, for the most part, they did a great job of doing that.
Their ball movement was very impressive until the fourth quarter.
So they wore down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Taylor, for the second time, fails to convert the three-point play. He's 0 for 2 from the line, and we are tied at 8. That is our 4th tie. We've been tied at 2, at 4, at 6, and at 8, and now Jacobs in and out.
Good
on the
job
short
by
jumper, but Terrence Vaughns is there for the putback.
Good job of Terrence Vaughns keeping it alive on the glass.
Again, Uniontown, lots of offensive rebounds last week against Char Valley, but they couldn't convert on the putbacks, so that's a good sign to see Terrence Vaughn successful off the window there. Now we get the three-pointer from the corner, and that's Byron Knight. And Penn Hills, for the second time this afternoon, is in the lead.
Tell you what, Penn Hills right now, Chuck, they don't look in all of the Uniontown Red Raiders.
They're playing very well, and right now up 11-10. Duncan on the runner, and he gets the drop. That was a runner, that was a leaner, that was a banker, and that was
bucket.
2 points, exactly. So the Raiders back on top. 3 lead changes here in the first period, and Vaughns now slaps it out of bounds. 1:34 remaining in quarter number 1. It's Uniontown 12, Penn Hills 11.
I tell you what, Penn Hills is attacking it just like Indiana Valley last night. They attacked it. You know what? That's the things you have to do.
Now here's Byron Knight, baseline drive. That foul will be called on the floor. Wave off the basket.
Is that on David?
No, they're going to call that on Jacobs. That will be Jacobs' second foul. It's the 6th team foul. So first period, and already from here on out for the rest of the half, every Uniontown foul will send the Indians to the line.
Is that Chris's second or first?
Jacobs' second foul. He's the first Red Raider to pick up 2 fouls. Now Jenkins and Jones will come back into the game. Vaughns and Jacobs will take a seat.
Oh,
and
good job by Kevin McLean.
Kevin McLean with a nice steal on the inbound pass. Stole it clean, too.
He thought he was getting a little pass out the backfield. Ooh, that's a walk.
That's a walk. Jerry Jenkins didn't handle the pass very well. He bobbled the ball, and that's what led to the travel by Dier. 1:20 left in the first quarter. Penn Hills down by 1. Winfrey with the full court pressure, able to get the inbound zone. Here comes Knight. And he'll set it up now.
Penn Hills just really right now looks very. They look very fresh. I mean, like
Taylor at the elbow. Everybody backed off of him. He took the jumper, no good. But Knight, second shot, that's no good. Knight again, third shot, around, no good. Taylor keeps it alive, and now we'll get the foul called on the floor. They're going to call David Winfrey for a hold, and now Taylor will go to the line with the one on the bonus.
You know what, Chuck? They're in a one-on-one for the rest of the game.
I know, and it's the first period. A huge problem now for the Raiders with foul trouble. And that'll keep Penn Hills in this game, even if Uniontown gets their running game going or gets the defensive pressure going. Foul trouble alone.
Do you think the two brothers had a nice talk on Sunday afternoon? George Lemon and Dier Jenkins?
Well, who would have thought when the Whippeal playoff started? No good. Taylor now 0 for 3 from the line. Had a chance to put the Indians in the lead.
Oh, good move by Dier. Kevin McLean.
McLean with the follow. First field goal by Kevin, and it's 14-11. Uniontown with their biggest lead. First time either team has led by more than a pair. Yeah, who would have thought when the playoffs started that it would be Brownsville winning the Whippeal and not Uniontown? There's another turnover. Jacobs on the baseline. Taylor on the baseline. Back come the Red Raiders. If you'd have thought that only one team was going to win a Whippeal title, obviously everybody would have said Uniontown. Brownsville, and maybe they'll get to the second round. Great thing about playoff action, though, you get on a roll at the right time, and the Falcons got on a roll at the right time, and we'll see how long they can carry it. Uniontown, meanwhile, is going to try to start another roll.
Their bracket in the state is very strong. They've got Bradford, General McLean, and Peabody staring them down.
Now Uniontown will hold for 1. 15 seconds remaining in the first quarter as Winfrey dribbles up top. Duncan running the baseline along with Jenkins. Now here comes Jenkins, gets it to Jones. 9 seconds, baseline jumper, no good. Offensive rebound by Nelson Jones. Get a scramble along the baseline, a whistle, and we're going to get a foul called on Penn Hills with 4.1 seconds left, so Uniontown will get to inbounds under the basket. And Taylor will be called, and that is his second foul. And that's big for Penn Hills. It's their only 2 team fouls in the quarter, but both on Taylor, and he's the player you can ill afford to get into foul trouble, I think, if you're the Penn Hills Indians, and he'll take a seat now for the remainder of the quarter as Marcus Hamilton will come into the game. Now, 4 seconds left. Raiders, Winfrey, 3 from the corner. That's no good. Time for a putback by Jenkins, but that's no good, and there's the buzzer. So the first quarter comes to an end. Solid first quarter for the Penn Hills Indians, but the Uniontown Red Raiders do have the lead by 3. After 1 quarter of play, the score, Uniontown 14, Penn Hills 11.
Are you receiving workers' compensation? Did you know you can obtain a lump sum settlement? Call one of the hometown professionals at Davis & Davis for a free consultation. Davis & Davis, a team of professionals working for you.
Today's Herald Standard High School playoff game is brought to you by who provides the best service for your sick or troubled copier? That answer is a slam dunk. Just call the office heroes at Best Copier Company. Call us at 439-2378, an affiliate of Brothers Laser Service. Shelley's Auto Sales, Route 21, Uniontown, featuring top-of-the-line late models to choose from. On-the-spot financing available. Stop in and see Rudy or Jack for a great deal. Call us at 437-2606.
Welcome back to the Ringgold High School Gymnasium, right outside of beautiful scenic Monongahela, Pennsylvania. Home away from home here for Herald Standard Television Sports. As we've had the opportunity to do several playoff games here, we're glad you're joining us for this first round PIAA Quad A boys matchup between Uniontown and Penn Hills. After 1 quarter of play, Uniontown leading Penn Hills. Uniontown, the number 2 seed out of the WPIAL, battling Penn Hills, the number 10 seed out of the WPIAL. And Joe, after 1 quarter, Uniontown up 14-11.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, a good flow to the ball game. Uniontown seemed to find their stride there near the end of the first quarter. Penn Hills, Jason Taylor, the big kid, with some foul trouble. And that could be a factor here as the second quarter goes on quickly. Jared Jenkins with the steal. And Jenkins with a good move to the glass. Throws it off hard. Marcus Hamilton with the rebound. And now we're going to get a jump ball. And it will go to the Red Raiders, but a quick start to the second quarter.
Well, that was a scrum, and Hamilton still down on the floor, apparently shaken up. He went up into the air to break up that Jenkins layup, and then went up for the rebound and came down very awkwardly. Looked like perhaps landed on his hip, and he's going to get some medical attention right now from the trainer. Boy, a lot of contact on that layup by Jenkins, nothing called, and they're letting some things go. And we've talked about this in the playoffs from the Uniontown standpoint. I think they're well served when the officials get to let things go. Exactly.
And Marcus Hamilton gets up and walks off the floor. That's a good sign for the Penn Hills Indians, and Blaine Givner comes back into the ball game. So the Indians go very, very small right now.
Yeah, Louis Jones in the game now for Penn Hills, number 21. He really has, the only height they have out there is Taylor still on the bench with those 2 fouls.
So Uniontown inbounds, and it's man-to-man for the Penn Hills Indians. They played it from the get-go. Adam Bozick now in the ball game for the Red Raiders. They swing it. Jenkins' 15-footer, back of the iron. Big rebound by Byron Knight, and the Indians look to cut into this 3-point advantage, possibly tie it if they can hit a triple. And the Red Raiders now back to the man-to-man. Donato, a good matchup with Terrence Vaughns right there. Stepping in, coming all the way, stripped nearly. Now comes with a right-hand layup up and in by Byron Knight.
5 points for Knight. 1 point difference, and we see a difference in styles offensively now as Uniontown going to try to set a lot of screens, free people up with the screens. Penn Hill's not setting a lot of screens, just working the ball around the perimeter, so a contrast in style.
Try to get it into Nelson Jones. Ball's tapped away, no foul. Got to go back inside to Jones. Step in, and they probably play a 2-man game, and Donato steals it. They were trying to get it in to Nelson Jones, and the Indians now with a chance to take the lead. Working with the ball is Justin Stubblefield. Donato has it nearly stripped. Good hands by Terrence Vaughns. They go to the corner. Inside they go. Lewis Jones gives it back. Short jumper. Back of the iron will not go. Good strong rebound. Put back won't go. There's somebody coming over the top. Nothing. Way out to Tornado. His 3 balls back of the iron. I tell you what, we're fast and furious here. No fouls being called. We might be out here by 3:30. Jones inside. Turnaround. It won't go. There's Kevin McLean won't go. Jones for the 3rd time. And if we were at a carnival, you have to pay a quarter for that.
Well, that's painful, though, for Uniontown fans to watch that. That has to bring up some horrible deja vu memories of last week's game against Char Valley in the Palumbo Center. How many times did we see 2nd, 3rd, and 4th opportunities fail to go down, and it made the difference.
You got to pay the quarter,
game.
Chuck. They're not paying the quarter right now. To the line, Nelson Jones. Foul was on Louis Jones. Sounds like a good blues band there. Nelson trying to get his 3rd point of the ball game, and it comes front of the iron. And right now, the Red Raiders went into that little bit of a shooting slump down at the Palumbo Center, and they're trying to get back out of it here with 6:20. Nelson rolls the 2nd one in, so we got ourselves a 2-point Red Raider advantage, their 1st point of the quarter.
And still not shooting particularly well from the outside. They've hit a couple of jumpers here in this game, but they still don't have any threes. No long-range jump shots.
Dump it down. Louis Jones with the ball. Kevin McLean watches him. Comes off the hands. Nick Tornado lobs it inside. Louis Jones turns, puts it up. He's whistled. Foul, and I think we got De'Aaron Jenkins for his 2nd. And them fouls are starting to mount up on the Red Raiders.
Penn Hills does not, they're not running off, trying to rub off any screens or anything. They're just working the ball around the perimeter and then trying to kick it inside. And with Uniontown in a little bit of foul trouble and with their aggressive style of defense, I think the Indians might be better served if they try to set some picks and force the Red Raiders to fight their way through it defensively and maybe rack up some more fouls. But apparently that's not the Penn Hills style of play. They're content to just kind of work the ball around, see if they can lob it inside. And I'll tell you one thing, Joe, they better start hitting from the free throw line because right now they're beating themselves from the stripe.
Yeah, they've missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already. They are 0 of 5 from the line. And that one looked very bad off the hands of one Louis Jones. They are very athletic, though. And that's back of the iron won't go. Terrence Vaughn's rebound. The Raiders want to run. Jones around Tornado, and he got it to go down.
Boy, what ball or body control by Nelson Jones to avoid the charge and still have the kiss off the window.
Biggest Raider lead of the night, 4 points. As Justin Stubblefield brings up the floor and gives it off now to Blaine Givener. He's slapping David Winfrey's hand. Tornado's 3 ball is down, and we get a foul inside, and we get a double foul inside. Tornado gets the 3, and we got ourselves a 1-point ball game. Now let's see what we have here. I think we're going to get a double foul inside jump ball. Arrow goes to Penn Hills.
Yeah, this brings back memories of that Penn Trafford sequence there at the end of the game when they got the 5-point play. They hit the 3 and the foul underneath led to a 1-and-1, and they get the 5-point. This wasn't exactly the same because it is the double foul, but they get the inbound so they can turn it into a 5-point play. Now McLean and Jones both picking up their 2nd foul apiece. That's Louis Jones for Penn Hills.
Jumper, foul line, back of the iron. Nelson Jones battles for it. It comes down to Nick Tornado. Stolen, coming all the way. Nelson Jones with the finger roll and a give. Bucket.
7 points for Nelson Jones.
Quickly back the other way. Missed the layup. Jones gets down the rebound.
This is what the Raiders want.
This is like ice hockey right now. Up and down the floor. 3-point Red Raider lead. Give it back. Jenkins sets the feet. 3 balls down.
Helter-skelter, that's Red Raider basketball, and the Penn Hills Indians need a timeout.
And Uniontown has pushed that lead now to 6 points. And I tell you what, Nelson Jones, the catalyst there, getting on the glass a little bit, getting it out and getting it rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point, Joe. He got both of those breaks started, took one himself, actually 2 fast break buckets on his own, and then very nice ball movement on that last fast break. Very nice when you can get a wide open 3-point look on the fast break because not only do you have the chance to score 3, but a lot of times you'll have numbers in case the shot misses for the offensive rebound. That time it was Jenkins to Vaughns, kicked it right back out to Jenkins for the wide open look.
You would think with the kind of shooters Uniontown has in Terrence Vaughns, Chris Jacobs, De'Aaron Jenkins, that would be a staple of your break. We're going to push it down and kick it back out. Uniontown does not do a lot of that with the spot up on the break, but you would think that would be a staple because I would, if I'm Uniontown, I got shooters. If I get looks, they're usually going to bury it 90% of the time.
problems the Raiders have. They tend to be streak shooters. Now Penn Hills has to hurry because the officials started the 5 count.
And they got to
look at that. Oh, what a huge break. Penn Hills used a 30-second timeout, and the coaching staff had them in the huddle for too long. The official said, hey, it's time to resume action, and the official has the prerogative there at any time. He can set the ball down on the floor and start the 5 count. He did that. By the time Penn Hills ran out and picked up the ball, the 5 seconds count was almost finished. They had to hurry up and burn off another 30.
Okay, let's set the stage. Disappointing night last night for the Lady Coins of Albert Gallatin, a tough overtime loss to an Altoona team that I think they really believed they were going to win. So a tough loss for Ann Capozzi's team in the opening round of state playoffs. Brownsville now will play General McLean, probably Tuesday night, sight time to be determined. And the winner of this ball game will take on the winner of Pine Richland and State College. Quickly, here come the Indians all the way to the glass. No foul, bucket counted by Justin Stubblefield, his first 2. And they cut it to 4, and here come the Red Raiders back the other way. Oh, nice strip there. Oh, and he steps back in, but what a great strip by number 3, Justin Stubblefield.
Yeah, good hands by Stubblefield. And by the way, while we're talking about last night's action, there's one other Fayette County team, although they're not in the HSTV viewing, no, not in the HSTV viewing area, but the Connellsville girls do advance.
Yeah, they went out to take on Mount Lebanon again after a big win over Erie Central last night.
Oh, they're saying nobody touched it.
Wait a minute. Change it.
Come back. Let's talk it over. Officials want to talk it over. There's no doubt that ball was deflected.
Oh, they're going to give it to the Indians. Oh, and the Red Raider faithful not happy.
Are my eyes playing tricks on me, Joe?
I didn't really see it. I couldn't tell you because I was talking.
I thought it was tipped by Penn Hill.
Oh, good spin move by Stubblefield. He's coming all the way. Kick it out. They got Tonato for 3. Nope, won't go. And there's good hands there, and it will go to the Penn Hills Indians. Byron Knight able to knock it off, I believe, De'Aaron Jenkins' hands. And now, are they going to change this again?
Well, same 2 officials. And they're talking, no, actually not the same 2, but 2 officials talking again, and this time they get it right.
They actually went to the 3rd official on the far side of the floor.
There's no doubt that ball was tapped out of bounds out of Winfrey's hand. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, score remains 22-18 with 4:34 left as the Uniontown faithful a little bit raucous. They're still a little bit upset. Winfrey for 3, no. Badly missed by David. And he got to get a little bit of confidence, square up, and nail it.
Now, what he's got to do is not shoot that shot.
Coming all the way, and that's where we're going to differ for the rest of the year. And that's Byron Knight put in by Byron Knight. And I know what you're talking about. He ain't got to shoot it, but Chuck, he's got to make something at some point because I don't have to play him defensively.
But that doesn't. But if you have to have the ability to tell the other team, listen, I can make this shot occasionally, so you have to respect me. Right now, David Winfrey. I mean, look at it wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't close. I understand what you're talking about.
Even if you just rim it in and out, you got to make them play you. But when you throw up that kind of a brick, I go back to what you said in the first quarter, which is drive.
Well, see, that would be my point. But what's happening here is everybody's playing him, like you said, against Star Valley. They're 15 feet off him, which takes all the penetration lane down. And by him not being able to penetrate or shoot the ball well, it cuts down the penetration lanes for Chris Jacobs and Terrence Vaughns here. You know, David has got to, and I understand David does so many great things, I mean, for the Uniontown Red Raiders.
Absolutely.
But by him not being offensive-minded, it cuts down what he does best, which is distribute the basketball. And now that we have...
Suddenly, Penn Hill's only down by 2.
De'Aaron Jenkins, turn around in the paint. Taylor back in the ball game. McClee turns on him. Tell you what, a bold move here by Jim Rocco, the head coach of the Penn Hills Indians.
Going to roll the dice a little bit, putting Taylor in there with 2 fouls for the final 3:52.
Especially the way they were playing extremely well.
Yeah.
Givner's drug the foot. Oh, look at this move. No call charge. Got to call it. Donato was out of control.
Yeah, no doubt about that call. Definitely offensive foul call. That's the 15 foul.
And we'll go back here about something. The last 3 playoff games, the Penn Trafford game, the Churchill Valley playoff game, and this game, all 3 teams did one thing that most teams did not do against Uniontown. They attacked the Uniontown Red Raiders, and Uniontown's had trouble with it.
Well, that's an old basketball adage. How do you play a team that pressures you? You pressure them right back.
And you attack every chance you get at the glass.
Press a pressing team, run against a running team. You know, that's old basketball strategy.
Oh, Nelson Jones is going to go to the line, and the foul's going to be on Byron Knight. Knight not happy. He thought he got it clean.
Notice anything different about Nelson Jones, Joe?
Oh, we're back to the nice hair color.
Where's Cisco?
It's Nelson Jones now going to the line to shoot a pair.
Now, I can't verify this, and, you know, I'm not one to repeat rumors, so listen close the first time, Joe. But I've heard, you know, some rumors that he was thinking about some different colors down the road here. So
oh, boy.
I was hoping for maybe some maroon and white, you know, the Raiders colors here as we advance to the playoffs.
I got to go to his barber tomorrow.
I want to see it.
And he can't, but Kevin McClee, yay!
Boy, McClee doing a great job. 4 offensive rebounds for McClee here in the first half.
Back to a 4-point Red Raider advantage at 24-20. Nearly stolen, step in by Stubblefield. Baseline move, they try to swing it all the way out. Tanato runs it down, great hustle. And now they've got the floor spread coming all the way, no walks. Taylor can't get the short jumper, and there's Nelson Jones on the glass. Matt Tanato into the ball game all the way. D.R. Jenkins, and Taylor gets number 3.
Boy, there's a huge sequence for you there as give David Winfrey, and we talked about the things that he can do for you, and there was an example as he triggered that break with a beautiful chest pass off 3/4 of the length of the court there, hitting Jenkins in stride, which allowed Jenkins to get a step ahead of Taylor. Taylor would have been better served just to allow Jenkins to go in uncontested with that layup. Instead, Taylor went for the block and picks up his 3rd foul.
And the Raiders now 7-point lead, biggest of the night. And finishing the 3-point play was D.R. Jenkins. I've got D.R. now for 6 on the evening. And here we come the other way with Justin Stubblefield. Red Raiders still man-to-man. They've been able to get good penetration, though. This is Matt Tanato. And they go down to Lewis Jones, and the ball is going to stay with the Penn Hills Indians. And Kevin McClee with a nice little smile on the floor.
McClee thought Jones may have touched it last, or was hoping that would be the call, but wasn't able to get it. And 2 Tanatis now in the game. Number 20 is Matt. Number
Jones
5
tries
is
to
Nick.
skip it through the zone. That's turned over. And now Penn Hills looks a little bit out of sync.
And they haven't done a poor job of handling the ball. We thought they might struggle early on. One early turnover on their first possession, but they've handled the ball pretty well. Threw it away there.
Now Uniontown going to go to the delay game with 2:22 left. And I think right now this may be a good decision. And Terrence Vaughn's with the basketball, and it's going to move it around up top. Here's the matchup that Penn Hills likes. Matt Tanato on David Winfrey. And Terrence Vaughn's once again handles it.
Raiders have scored 5 straight, had a little bit of momentum going, nice fast break basket, and I'm not so sure about pulling it out here, to be honest with you. I think you got him down, you kind of try to go right at him. Nelson Jones, a little bobble there, but no walk call.
And they're going to run this thing. We're down to 140. We've wasted almost 40 seconds off the clock. Nearly stolen by Stubblefield. D.R. Jenkins and Kevin McClee there, the 2 post people, only coming out when needed. And now Uniontown looked like they were going to go spread the floor, and look to attack it, but they pulled it back out.
If you can run time off the clock and then get a good look, that's fine. But many times this year when Uniontown has done this,
is backfired.
They've not gotten a good look. They'll run a minute off the clock and then turn it over. So let's see how they handle it.
See, and the thing is, they're not even looking for a backdoor cut. Nobody's going off hard and going to the back. Going backdoor.
You know, I'm sorry, but Nelson Jones is traveling every time he catches a ball on this weave. You watch him with the...
Oh, lefty Malone, nice up, Kevin McClee.
Hey, there you go. There's a good look.
Well, that's what you do when you draw it up. 9-point lead now. Penn Hills in a little bit of trouble here. And Jones is going to be fouled by Kevin McClee.
You watch if they go to that weave again in the second half. Every time Jones catches the ball, he establishes a pivot foot
and then slides.
And then he moves that and establishes the other foot as the pivot foot. The officials are letting him do it, so I guess you keep doing that.
Well, and then here's the difference. Last night, there was some very, very close walking calls on Indian Valley. I mean, it did not even look as bad as what we've seen some of the ones here today.
Hey, Kevin McClee has played an outstanding first half for the Red Raiders,
yes,
but he's just picked up his 3rd foul, so that's some bad news for Kevin.
And they can't make a free throw.
Wow, they have not made one yet. Taylor's 0 for 3, and Jones now 0 for 3.
Looking at the Indians, though, this is a relatively young basketball team.
Yeah, a lot of experience last year when they won the Whippeal title, and they lost a lot of senior leadership coming into this year. So this was expected to be kind of a rebuilding year for them, and that's been pretty much how it's worked out for them.
Oh, he misses badly. They are 8, 7.
And I have 0 for 7, and none of them have been close. They haven't rimmed out. I mean, they're throwing up bricks.
And so now we'll go back to the delay game. We're under 30 seconds. Red Raiders by 9, looking to push it to a double-digit lead. And with the big boy on the bench, this has been the run. Terrence Vaughn's trying to establish the pivot foot.
Okay, 15 seconds now. Got to start to look towards the hoop.
I'll tell you what, David Winfrey may have split him too.
8 seconds. Someone got to shoot.
Go. Now Winfrey looking to break him down. There he goes to the glass. Get in there. For David Winfrey. And a much-needed basket for the junior point guard.
Nicely done as he controlled the body in the air. A little bit of contact, nothing called, but he threw it high off the window for the kiss. And the Raiders score the final 9 points of the period.
And if anybody needed a basket, it's David Winfrey, and David with a big one there to end the half. So 1 half down here in the opening round to the PIAA state playoffs from Ringgold Senior High School. And the Uniontown Red Raiders, at least for a half, they lead the Penn Hills Indians 31-20.
Today's Herald Standard High School playoff game is brought to you by...
As the Uniontown Red Raiders use a late burst to extend their lead to 11 points, they lead this thing 31-20 over the Indians of Penn Hills. And Chuck, near the end of the half, the big foul on Jason Taylor on the layup attempt by Deere Jenkins looks like it may come back to be maybe the biggest play of the first half.
Well, Penn Hills had pulled to within a pair at 22-20. Uniontown with a bucket to run the lead back out to 4, and then a fast break opportunity as first Penn Hills missing a putback. Nelson Jones with the rebound, and then it was Winfrey hitting Jenkins in stride. The three-point play, which first of all ran the lead up to 5, got the Raiders off to that run, but as you mentioned, perhaps even more importantly, getting Taylor into some serious foul trouble. It will be interesting to see as we open up the third period what Uniontown does. The one problem I've seen with the Red Raiders, and I've commented on it during the broadcast during the course of the season, they have a tendency to play at times to the level of the competition. They allow their opponent to stay in the game way too long. I've said all along, eventually that's going to catch up to you. It did catch up to them in the WPIAL championship game. They don't want to do that here this evening. They have the 11-point lead at the half. Now it's time right away to extend that lead, put it away, and move to the second round.
And another problem for the Penn Hills Indians, they're 0 of 7 from the foul line.
And on merit.
Yeah.
They deserve to be 0 of 7. You're talking Brick City. I mean, they are throwing up some serious mortar work up there, clunking all over the rim.
And Chuck, third quarter, let's give the Red Raiders. It's Jones, Winfrey, Vaughn, Jacobs, and Jenkins. As we get ready to go, Chuck, third quarter action from Ringgold.
Great balanced scoring by the Red Raiders. Nelson Jones leading the way in the first half with 7 points. Kevin McLee with 6 off the bench. Duncan and Jacobs with a 5 apiece. Deere Jenkins also with 6 points, and Winfrey with a pair. Also Vaughns with 2. So the Raiders really spreading it around offensively. That's what head coach Dave Shuck likes to see. Opening possession, a baseline jumper. No good by Jacobs, but we'll get a rebounding foul, loose ball foul, and I think this one's going to go against Terrence Vaughns. Yes, Terrence Vaughns is called for the push-off, and that is his second foul. Foul trouble, we mentioned Taylor with 3 in the first half. On the other side, McLee off the bench had those 6 big points, some key offensive rebounds, but he also has 3 fouls. But again, if you're going to have a player in foul trouble, having McLee off the bench in foul trouble, that's not too bad from Uniontown's standpoint.
Kevin gave him some really solid minutes in the first half.
He sure did. Now the drive, a little bit out of control, and losing control of the ball is Blaine Givner, because he found a lane but lost his footing as he went up for the shot. So a quick turnover by the Indians, and back come the Red Raiders. 31-20, we're just underway, opening minute of the second half.
Uniontown opened up full court man-to-man, and looks like now Penn Hills in a little bit of a box-and-one, and it looks like they're boxing Terrence Vaughn.
Jenkins with the 3, no good, and Taylor pulls down the rebound.
So a little bit of a defensive adjustment by Jim Rocco.
Now Taylor frees up inside. That's a nice play as Stubblefield. Little pick and roll action, and Taylor has 6, and the lead is now 9 for the Red Raiders.
It's kind of what Shore Valley did. They put the kid in the high post and released him with the pick and roll.
Now Winfrey for 3. There you go.
Chuck, he's got to keep shooting it.
Well, again, had that shot at the end of the half. Maybe a little confidence builder, and that was a nice-looking 3 as he drained that beautifully. Raiders with their biggest lead of the afternoon at 12. Now Jacobs with the swat.
Oh, great pass.
Nice save by Winfrey, but it's run down by Givner, and back come the Indians now with some numbers. Stubblefield right at Winfrey and puts it up and off the glass. He now has 4. And
that was a
10-point
That
game.
was a great save on an outlet pass. Oh, nice look by Chris Jacobs.
Jacobs to Jenkins. Jenkins with 8, and the lead back to 12. Don't turn away from the screen, folks, because the Raiders, they come right back at you after the made bucket by the Indians. The Raiders with a fast break. And a throw it away. Turnover by Penn Hills.
The youth here of Penn Hill starting to show a little bit.
And this is what we said the Raiders had to do. Don't leave the Indians in the game. Jump right out on top of them. And the Raiders have added 1 point to their 11-point halftime lead, and now they'll look to extend further. Yeah, now we go back into the weave. Vaughn, Jenkins,
well, I think
Winfrey.
I think it's a good move this time because I know what Chuck's trying to do. They were in that box and one. He's going to try to make them come out and go man-to-man all over the floor.
Well, Taylor, they don't want to have to go man, Penn Hills, with Taylor having those 3 fouls. May have to do it, though.
But that's what they're trying to do.
And now Taylor does match up with Jacobs, so now the Indians in the straight man. But Taylor not going to come that far out on Jacobs, so he'll dribble for a little bit, and now they go back into the weave.
Well, and if you're Penn Hills, you got to come out and go get it stolen.
Well, there's the steal. Ahead of the field. Oh, he wanted a throwdown high off the backboard. Now Taylor loses control. That should be Uniontown basketball. Oh, my goodness. Timeout. Penn Hills.
And that's a momentum switch the other way. If he throws it down, the Penn Hills people get into the ball game, but he misses the dunk, and right there I think you got to make the layup.
Well, Cheston Stubblefield ahead of the field, and he wanted to put on a little show. He wanted to say, respect my authority, with a little slam, but he clanged it right off the back of the rim, and then Taylor trying to score on the putback, lost control of the ball out of bounds, so back will come the Raiders. Penn Hills calls the timeout. They now have 2 timeouts left. Dave Shuck still has his full complement of timeouts. 5:02 left in the third quarter, 36-24. And yeah, I agree, Joe. When you're down by 12, make sure of the pair.
But you know how kids are. He's trying to get the kids. If he gets it down, then Penn Hills gets all emotional and fired up.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so, but it did not go down. But I'll tell you what, some mad hops there.
By that, and that ball.
How about last night,
up in the rafters? It came all
How
the way
about
up to the
last
roof.
night? The kid off the bench from Turkey Foot with the one-hand power jam against Monessen.
At the end of the game.
At the end of the game.
It came off the back rim, bounced about 15 feet up in the air, and then dropped straight through for the bucket.
But I'm going to tell you what, the Monessen people were very impressed with that.
And he had a huge smile on his face,
yes,
too,
he
after he made that.
But I'll tell you what, I was impressed with Turkey Foot last night.
Vaughn's missing on the 3. Turkey Foot stayed in that game
until late. They got some players.
Yeah.
They got some kids that can play the game up there.
Yeah, Monessen pulled away in the 4th period. Now the drive, and we'll get a foul called on the floor as Knight tried to bring it down the lane. Instead, the Raiders will be called. I believe that's going to be Nelson Jones called for the foul. It will be Uniontown.
I think, you know, I was reading the Valley Independent today. Oh, the other newspaper don't. But they kind of made that game as a blowout. That was an 8-point ball game midway through the 4th quarter.
Yeah, that was not a blowout. Turkey Foot
gave a good account of
Yeah, they acquitted themselves very well. That foul on Jones was his first, team second. Now here's Terrence Vaughns again for 3. Terrence Vaughns, who struggled from outside in the WPIL championship game, once again unable to find the range here this afternoon. Now here comes a long 3, and that's no good. Up and no good by Tenati, but the follow is up and in by Byron Knight. Leading scorer for the Indians, Knight has 9, and once again the lead for the Raiders back down to 10, 36-26.
Ball just would not drop for Terrence Vaughn. Oh, good move.
Jenkins will draw contact and go to the line. A little stare down between Byron Knight and D.R. Jenkins. And now Dave Shuck wants to call a 30-second timeout.
And I think he wants to talk here to D.R. Jenkins about, you know, he just wants to talk to some people.
Has a word for the officials as well, but now he's going to have more than a word for his crew. Not too pleased about something that he's seen defensively, I think, as he was pointing down at the defensive end of the floor.
Chuck, the 20th year anniversary of the Uniontown Raiders winning the state title, and we got some good information. We finally found out who they defeated in the Whitfield Championship game that year.
Yeah, we couldn't remember what team it was that they beat for what was then the AAA championship.
Yep.
Who was it?
The Aliquippa Quips. And to show you how much the Quips are now a AA program, 80-67.
How about that?
In a game that was played down at that time at the Civic Arena, which is no longer in existence. Chuck, it's now the Mellon Arena.
Now the Mellon Arena.
But we were wrong on some accounts. They did lose 2 games that year. They lost to Bell Vernon in a section game. They lost to Rancho out of Las Vegas, 64-61 in the night tournament. At that time, the most prestigious tournament, as Pierre buries the free throw.
Well, you said they lost to Bell Vernon. I said they lost in Vegas.
So we were both right.
Yeah, we were really right. Exactly.
But we also got the starting 5 for that team.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second.
We will get that in a while.
Jenkins hits both, and he now has 10.
We'd like to thank Fred Bozak for the information. We had a nice little talk with him today. Taylor. Oh! They missed 2 of them.
And we'll get the foul on Winfrey.
And now he missed the 3rd one.
Well, that one wouldn't have counted anyway, as Winfrey was called on the floor with the foul.
Do you think Jim Rocco is just going to lose his mind here in a couple seconds?
Man, Jason Taylor all by himself. He wanted the slammer jammer, and that didn't work.
We're going to bring the kid from Turkey Foot down here to show him how to do this.
Matt Donati will go to the line now as Winfrey was called.
There was 3 dunks in that game, 4 dunks in that game last night between Monessen and Turkey Foot.
Wow, Penn Hill's 0 for the game right now from the free throw
I think
line.
they were watching Pitt with the free throw shooting.
Unbelievable.
There it is.
They made one. 11-point game, 38-27. Who was starting 5?
Okay, the starting 5 was Craig Harris, Kenner Holt, Katz McClee, Eric Fee, Greg Gabriel. Earl Miner. Craig Harris was the first man off the bench that year.
Kenner Holt.
There's a name.
That's who I couldn't think of. Okay. Well, they were hoping to repeat 20 years later with another Whippeal title. That didn't happen, so they'll have to set their sights on a state championship run to Hershey and see if they can win the PIAA 20 years later, and it all starts here today with this first-round matchup. 3:18 left in the 3rd period, and the Raiders lead by 11.
And they also defeated Center in the semifinals and Bethel Park that year.
In the
Whippeal
playoff?
Yep, in the Whippeal playoff.
Okay.
So we'd like to thank Mr. Bozak for that information.
Absolutely. That's a great thing about the power of the media. Ask a question, and you know you'll get the answer. Exactly.
And we may have a really nice thing coming up for the Uniontown people in a very near future here. We have information that we will be getting a tape of the 81 state championship game that was played on WQED. And if we get it, we're going to replay it. We're going to rebroadcast the game.
Nelson Jones on the putback.
Oh, good job following up.
Chris Jacobs is there. 6 points for Jacobs, and the Raiders, with 2:29 left in the 3rd, have extended their lead to 13.
So Eric's going to classic Herald Standard basketball.
Lane Givner with the runner down the lane off the window, 40-29. 1981, of course, what a great year for the Raiders as they won the WPIAL
and
championship
you know what?
And the state
that
championship.
Was the last year they made the Whippeal football playoffs.
And
they made it this year.
How about that? Wow, there's a coincidence.
Hopefully for the football team, it's not every 20 years. I don't think it's going to be. It's Jared Jenkins finishes.
Bonds with the pass to Jenkins, and Jenkins now with 12. He is the leading scorer. Back in the starting lineup for the first time in several weeks. We mentioned in the first half, Duncan had been starting, and the Raiders on a 12-game winning streak as Penn Hills turns it over. Justin Stubblefield dribbles it off his foot. As long as the Raiders were winning, Coach Dave Shuck was going to keep Brandon Duncan in the starting lineup. Don't want to say he's superstitious or anything, but you don't break up a winning hand.
He wears his green jacket.
Well, there you go. And once they lost the championship game to Char Valley, he decided to go back to reinserting De'Aaron Jenkins into the starting lineup, and Jenkins has responded with 12 points thus far in this one. So now the Raiders by 13, and they'll go back into the delay, and Penn Hills will be called for a foul up top. This one will be on Stubblefield. Actually, they call Stubblefield or they call Knight? Yeah, it was Stubblefield.
Uniontown has gone back to the 1-3-1 half-court trap down here on this side of the floor. And I tell you what, Penn Hill is not doing a good job of recognizing right now what defenses the Red Raiders are jumping into.
Raiders led by 11 at the half. They're now up by 13. Give and go there, Jones and Jacobs, but Jones couldn't free himself. That foul, the second team foul on Penn Hills. Uniontown has committed only 3 team fouls after getting themselves in early foul trouble in the first half.
Well, they're doing a better job of moving their feet on defense, and I think that was the key. And, you know, they probably had a little bit of a letdown there, as we talked about early in the ball game. Now you're back into the field. It's just basketball again.
Well, now we see this weave is going to run some time off the clock. 1:10 left here in the third. And why not with the 13-point lead? And the crowd appreciates the ball handling. Now here's Winfrey.
Oh,
and he'll
David's
try.
coming all the way.
No good. Jacobs is there, and we'll have a foul.
But a good move by David Winfrey.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. You need to be aggressive when you see the lane. You need to take it to the hole. Wasn't able to get that shot to go down, but Jacobs was there with the follow. Marcus Hamilton called for his first foul as Taylor will re-enter the game for Penn Hills. And Jacobs will go to the line, his first 2 free throws on the afternoon. 56.7 seconds left. The Raiders with a 13-point lead.
Ooh, which setup it wouldn't go down.
Couldn't get the crawl. Jacobs has 6 thus far this afternoon.
Chuck, Uniontown on a 20-9 run since late in that second quarter. And that's typical Uniontown basketball.
Uniontown normally a very good free throw shooting team. Struggling a little bit this afternoon. They're 6 for 10 from the stripe as a team. And Jacobs misses both.
You know what, that's a real, oh, look at this. Oh, nice catch. I'll tell you what.
Field tries to save it, but it will go out of bounds. Uniontown basketball.
First off, there's got to be a crime committed because Chris Jacobs doesn't miss 2 free throws in a row. And then I'll tell you what, give Stubble, he's got to be a wide receiver on a football team because he had like no fear going in there to catch the pass.
51 seconds remaining. Now Uniontown, let's see if they try to run all the time down here and play for 1 with the 13-point lead. Wouldn't surprise me. Terrence Vaughn's up top. Needs some help. Nelson Jones there to provide.
David, very quick, and now we get a walk on David.
Yeah, shoveled the pivot foot just a little bit there. A little contact up top, and may have caused that. Could have called a foul, perhaps. Instead, the travel is called. 31.8 seconds, and now Penn Hills can play for 1, should they so desire.
Chance to get it to 11 or 10. Uniontown in the 1-3-1 half-court trap. See, and this is what Penn Hills did not do in the first half. They moved the ball a lot quicker in the first half than they are now.
Taylor trying to hit Byron Knight in the corner, but Jacobs deflecting the pass out of bounds. 22.9 seconds now. The Indians will inbounds. They trail by 13.
But you know what? It is Altoona. It's Altoona and Pine Richland that they will play, not State College.
Altoona and Pine Richland.
Yeah.
Winner of that game gets the winner of this game. Now
Yeah.
Byron Knight rejected by Nelson Jones.
Here they come back the other way.
Jacobs tries to hit Jones with the bounce pass. Couldn't do it. Now Taylor inside. 3 seconds left. He'll put it up. No good. Jones tries to get the rebound. Taylor keeps it alive and puts it in at the buzzer. That shot will count as Jason Taylor scores, and that will end the third period. So after 3 quarters of play, just looking on the court there for a second as Chris Jacobs had something to say to one of the Penn Hills Indians, but they quickly grab him and go to the huddle. After 3 quarters, the score, the Uniontown Red Raiders 42, the Penn Hills Indians 31. Here at Ringgold High School, Chuck Durso along with Joe Hoke, and it's 4th quarter action just about to commence. Uniontown leading Penn Hills 42-31. First round of the PIAA Quad A tournament. The nightcap of this game, by the way, will pit Char Valley. Well, that's got to be painful for Uniontown to see Char Valley. They're going to play McKeesport, the team that Uniontown beat in the first round. Of course, Char Valley beat this Penn Hills team in the first round of the WPIAL playoffs, and now Uniontown trying to do likewise.
And Uniontown will open up the 1-3-1 half-court trap. It is Jenkins, Jones, Winfrey, Terrence Vaughns, and Chris Jacobs. And pressure coming from Jenkins. And inside they go to Justin Taylor. Put back, won't go. And Byron Knight can't get it. Taylor taps it up, won't go. And finally David Winfrey rips the rebound. And the Raiders want to run here. They'll swing it now. See if they go right back into delay game. And here we go.
Yeah, they want to run if they have the numbers. But they're showing good patience here with the 11-point lead. And
all alone, Terrence Vaughn.
Well, Vaughns has been quiet, only 4 points this afternoon, and he struggled in that championship game as well. They haven't needed him, though, this afternoon, as other people have contributed. Terrence gets the bucket there.
13-point advantage, step out coming through, and we have a timeout granted to the Penn Hills Indians. as Byron Knight with the step through, but he called it as he was stepping through, and they can't have but one more left for the Penn Hills Indians. As Chuck said, the winner of this ball game will get the winner of the Altoona Mountain Lions Pine Richland Rand game. That game is going to be played tonight at 7:30 at Tyrone High School. So you think Coach Shuckby wins getting in the car driving to Tyrone tonight?
To Tyrone, boy, that's a drive.
That is. That's out there almost where Indian Valley is.
Yeah.
We made the trip last night in here to Ringgold.
Yeah, you're out there when you're going to Tyrone. Hey, it's is there a coaching convention going on here? Not to be a name dropper, but as I scanned the crowd just a moment ago, I saw, well, we're in Ringgold, so it makes sense. I saw Phil Pergola.
Well, last night I saw Phil Stewart, Phil Pergoli, Bill Wiltz, Jojo Salvino. I was like the dean of the Mon Valley. It was like a Mecca had arrived.
And you know who else I've seen in the crowd here this afternoon is, Laurel Highlands assistant coach, former Albert Gallatin head coach Rob Kesmarski here catching the action as well. So
and it all matters. Timmy McConnell's in here, so there is a God somewhere. Susie's not here.
Well, with the McConnells, what a great Saturday they had last week at the Palumbo Center, huh?
Yeah, they have great days every day.
Papa McConnell just was in his glory.
Ain't it? Inside they go to Hart. Hart, nice turnaround in the paint, counts the bucket.
10 points for Taylor, leading scorer for the Indians, and well, it's an 11-point game.
Uniontown just can't seem to put the nail on the final. Oh man, run right into Taylor.
Nearly a walk too. Good play by Jenkins to avoid the travel.
Penn Hills extending the pressure here.
Penn Hills has only committed 3 team fouls. They may need to burn off some fouls.
De'Aaron Jenkins, backdoor cut off the pass from Nelson Jones.
Well, that's 2 straight possessions now. They've found someone open on the blocks as Penn Hills forced to extend that defense. Good patience by the Raiders.
Skip it. And good move to the glass, but it does not go. There's the big boy with the putback as Jason Taylor now starting to heat up inside. Gets it back to 11.
Not nearly enough of that for the Indians, though.
Tenati missed the runner, and Taylor finishes it up. Running and jumping now by the Penn Hills Indians. You can see De'Aaron Jenkins just hanging on the baseline here. They get it to the middle of the floor, Winfrey. This is a little bit better what we were thought with the ball, with the delay game. They're looking to score, but it's got to be this. And De'Aaron Jenkins.
Boy, that is pretty as a picture. That was just a wonderful possession by the Red Raiders. Crisp ball movement, finding Jenkins open underneath.
I thought that may have came off of Blaine Givener's foot, but they keep it with the Indians. Tell you what, though, Penn Hills is, I think, going to be a force next year in a WPIL. They got a lot of kids back. This is not a bad basketball team really this year. Chris Jacobs tried to slide back in. This is not a bad basketball team.
Now, very quick, as you had alluded to right off the bat here, Joe, they haven't shown a lot of outside range shooting, and that's something that this just could be an off day for them, too. We don't know, but they need to shoot better.
But their quickness gives people problems. It's given Uniontown a little bit of problems today. There's the best shooter, Tenati, and Nick gets his second 3, and it's back to a 10-point ball game. And you know what, Chuck, we keep sitting here, but they have not been able to put the nail really in the coffin of the Penn Hills Indians.
And head coach Dave Shuck does not like that. He's going to call a full timeout with 5:23 left and a 10-point difference. He was not happy with the defensive effort there. He's not a patient guy. I mean, you can play good defense 8-10 possessions in a row, but if you slack off one time, he's going to let you hear about it. And he thought that you mentioned, of course, the better footwork defensively. That time they did not slide over quickly enough, and Tenati was able to get the open look for 3.
Uniontown, as I said, winner of tonight's Altoona Pine Richland game. Brownsville knows their opponent. It'll be General McLean. I believe General McLean's out of Erie. Right there as you go in. I think General McLean is out of Erie, so sight time to be determined, which means get in the bus. It's time to travel.
Is that just the general, the corporals and the lieutenants and the privates? They don't show up for the game?
They lost in the opening round.
Oh, they lost. So it's just the well, I think Brownsville should do pretty well then.
Yeah,
it's just the general.
But it's General McLean. I believe that's out of Erie. Last night, as we said, Connellsville's Lady Falcons with a nice win over Erie Central. And now they get the rematch with Mount Lebo.
Would they win by 20?
Yeah, they did a nice job. They were pounding them, too. They did a nice job. So the layoff did not affect the Lady Falcons of Connellsville.
Well, that's another team that's playing very, very well.
Yep.
They did well in the Whippeal tournament as well.
They could have beaten Ambridge.
Semis, yeah.
And they probably would have gave a better showing than Ambridge in the WPL title game against Susie's squad. No, nobody ever calls them like Oakland Catholic and Char Valley. It's either Timmy's team or Susie's squad.
team, yeah.
Well, they're still looking for the state regional match.
Hey!
Inside again they go. David Winfrey off a nice look.
7 points for David Winfrey. You like that bonus from the point guard, and he's putting up the offensive numbers that we talked about in that first half.
Back to a 12-point lead. Turn in the paint. Hart can't get it go down. Looks at the ref. Ref said, nope, it was blocked.
He thought he had the easy shot, and Nelson Jones says, don't bring that in here, and puts it right back in his face.
And what is Nelson Jones, Chuck?
Well, Nelson Jones showing on that play that he is the Dean of Discipline, and Jason Taylor was a bad boy.
And they turn it over here. Terrence Vaughn throws it to Nelson Jones, and I think it hit somebody down in the first row.
I've been waiting all game for that.
I
you know that.
Yeah, I figured I'd give you the lead in. Blaine Givner tosses it here. Comes Byron Knight trying to go around Jacobs. Good move to the glass. Oh, left-hand layup. And he's going to be fouled as he goes strong to the glass. I think David Winfrey may have got him at the end of the play. It's either him or Nelson Jones. I was wrong on both accounts.
Jenkins is called for his fourth team foul. 12-point difference. So, again, Penn Hills is in this game, but I go back to the fact that as a team, they've only committed 3 fouls. They're going to need to foul Uniontown late and send them to the line and hope the Raiders miss. But they're going to have to commit 3 fouls before they even send Uniontown to the line. They may want to send somebody out there off the bench just to burn off a few of those fouls because they're still in this game now.
Hey, there's a scoop. Byron Knight made both free throws.
Yeah.
10-point ball game. They just can't shake the Indians. And get it to Chris Jacobs. There's a foul there, no call. Jacobs coming all the way. Nice dish. And Jenkins turns and puts it up and in.
18 points for De'Aaron Jenkins. Back in the starting lineup, and I guess he likes it.
Blaine Givner now being hounded by David Winfrey. And inside, we got a wrestling match between Nelson Jones, the Dean of Discipline, and Justin Hart. Yeah, we had a wrestling match going there.
What's Taylor's height?
He's 6'5".
6'5". Nelson Jones, what, 5'11". So he's giving up 6 inches, and he is just battling him underneath there. I mean, you know, Nelson, Uniontown doesn't have a center. Nelson's got to fill that role. Does a great job.
Is down by Justin Stubblefield. And now it's back to single digits at 9 points. 3:45 turning clock as Jenkins brings it forecourt for the Red Raiders. And now we get a foul on Nick Donato, just Nick's second. Just the team, as Chuck said.
Nobody in foul trouble for Penn Hills other than Taylor, who had the 3 in the first half and has not added to that. That's Donati's second, but nobody else out there on the floor right now with more than 1.
Jacobs comes hard and puts it over the big boy. Well, inside they come. Taylor puts it in. He's fouled.
Well, right now, the Red Raiders just do not have an answer inside for Taylor, as you would expect. They don't have anybody inside there to play with him. Jenkins trying to stop him there, and he picks up his 4th foul. And suddenly, if Taylor makes the free throw, I knew I couldn't say that with a straight face, but if he somehow makes this free throw,
Chuck,
it's an 8-point game.
They've made 3 in a row now.
Yeah, but not Taylor.
Hey.
He's been lucky to hit the rim.
In and out, back to 9. Jacobs with the big rebound. And they push it ahead. De'Aaron Jenkins will hold it up. Now comes the delay game. A little slap there, finally. They call Matt Canati for, I believe, his 3rd foul.
Penn Hills and they're down by 9, Joe. They've missed 9 free throws. Now, not that you would expect them to make all of them,
but if they make some, it's a closer ball.
There you go. They were down to a 2-point game, so they've really shot themselves in the foot from the stripe.
Jones will inbound. They go into Chris Jacobs, and Taylor tries to put a headlock on Chris Jacobs.
Well, that's his 4th, and that's bad news for Penn Hills, obviously, as Taylor now 1 foul away from being eliminated in this game. It's the 6th team foul, so now, from here on out, Uniontown will shoot free throws on every Penn Hills infraction.
Vaughn's back in for Brandon Duncan. Char Valley fans fouling in. And what'll make it worse is they'll all be wearing their T-shirts to probably say the Chartiers Valley Colts, the WPL Class 4A champions. And
officials now step out and have a word for Taylor and Jacobs, a little jostling on this inbounds play.
And a little bit of hand checking and beating, and there's the fronting, and Jones will get it in, and now we're going to hold on Matt Tenati.
Well, he wanted to be. I mean, the crowd, the Uniontown fans they were screaming because the foul wasn't called first. They wanted the foul called.
He wanted to foul him.
Yeah, and exactly. Tenati wanted to foul Winfrey because, again, if you're going to foul anybody for Uniontown, that's who you want to send to the line. David Winfrey, although he's played well here in the second half, maybe he can sit here and drain these two. But of the 5 on the floor right now, Winfrey probably the poorest free throw shooter. So if you're Penn Hills, he's the guy you want to send to the line. Of course, from David's standpoint, the best answer to that strategy, just knock him down.
Yeah. And David's first one is down, and
there you
David's
go.
Now got 8. For 9. I got David for 9. I don't know what I got him for.
Winfrey now has 8.
8?
You're thinking ahead, though, because it's going to be 9 after he hits this shot.
And rebound by Chris Jacobs.
That's even better. And again, they're just fouling on purpose now. This is what they have to do with 3:04 left. They're down by 10. I think this is good strategy. A lot of times teams will wait too long. They'll wait till the final minute to start doing this. Do it now. As long as you have enough players with only a few fouls that you can afford to do this, let's turn this into a marathon free throw shooting contest. It's Penn Hill's only chance.
So Chris Jacobs now rolls it in and out. Rebound by Byron Knight. He's looking for his 9th point. Oh, good behind the back. Coming all the way. Finger roll. Lay it up and in.
Well, that was smooth.
Justin Stubblefield.
8-point game. That's the closest the Indians have been since the second quarter.
Nelson Jones gives it to Vaughns. Gives it back to Jenkins. Good. Back to 10.
Jenkins with 20 for the Red Raiders. What a game he has played.
Nearly turned over. Good pressure now by the Uniontown defense. Don't foul. Here they come. This is Stubblefield. Puts it high off the glass.
Over Jones with that kiss off the window.
And now we get a foul.
And they'll call it intentional. That's the danger. You want to foul, but you don't want to make it so blatant that's an intentional foul, because now Nelson Jones gets 2 free throws and the Red Raiders will get the inbounds. So from Penn Hill's standpoint, this does not help you. So that was a bad play. You don't want to give a guy a bear hug. You just want to give him just a little chop across the arm or something that the official will see, but you don't want to go up and hug him like that.
And Nelson now, who's been held to 7, looking for his first point for the second half, and can't get it to go down.
Nelson Jones 1 for 5 free throw shooting. Jones and Jacobs in particular have struggled from the stripe here this afternoon.
Nelson's second one. Got it. And the ball dropped that time.
Jones now in double figures as he has 10, joining, of course, Jenkins in double digits. A lot of balanced scoring for the Red Raiders in the first half, but here in the second half, it's been mainly D.R. Jenkins.
So 58-49, it's a 9-point advantage. Winfrey now tries to go around, and now we get a hand check way out high.
Good break for the Raiders as they tried to foul Winfrey first. That was not called, so now Terrence Vaughns will go to the line. And again, he's a much better free throw shooter, so if you're Dave Schuck, you'd rather see Terrence at the stripe. Here's the guy they got to get going, though, as the playoffs continue, Joe. They were able, it looks like they're going to survive today without much from Terrence Vaughns, but you saw when he didn't put up the points in the championship game, they struggled. They need to get production from Terrence Vaughns if they're going to go far in the PIAA.
Back to a 10-point lead. They will look to put it back to 11. And late spurt in the first half right now is really what's carried the Uniontown Red Raiders. Because Penn Hills has played even with them in the second half. So an 11-point lead, 60-49. The closest Penn Hills has gotten here in the second half, though, is 8. Baseline move, cuts it back. Oh, good defense by one Nelson Jones, who is Chuck.
The dean of discipline says if you don't have a hall pass, don't come in the lane. And the alternate possession arrow goes to the Red Raiders.
As you can see, I'm just feeding Chuck lines today. Here they come, breakout, 3-on-1. Jacobs loses the handle, and here comes the big boy acting like a point guard. They'll get it back to him. They get it to Tenati, and Tenati can't get it to go down. Justin Taylor, turnaround in the paint. Jason Taylor. Jason's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I got him for 16, the big boy.
Yep, that's what I have too. And Penn Hills has used what we believe to be their final timeout with 1:54. I like the decision by Tenati on the break to pull up and take the 3. Down, of course, by down by 11 points. You're trying to cut into that lead, and if you miss, you know you have Taylor for the putback, which is exactly what happened. Now it's a 9-point game, and you know, again, Uniontown just has been unable to totally put this away. They look to be in good shape here, Joe, but stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened. Our continuing coverage of the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association playoffs will continue, and we believe Tuesday night will be the next matchup for the Brownsville Falcons, and they'll take on General McLean out of Erie. Sight and time to be determined, and if the Red Raiders hold on in the last minute 54, we will have them Wednesday night. Sight and time to be determined against either the Altoona Mountain Lions or the Pine Richland Rams, and we'll get a chance to see if it's Pine Richland. Maybe the most prolific scorer this year in the WPIL, one Alan McQuarrie from Pine Richland. And you talk about a man that will get some shots up, Alan McQuarrie will get it up from anywhere on the floor. If he's in the gymnasium, Alan McQuarrie will throw it up.
In his range, right?
Vaughns to Jenkins for the finish and the foul. Go to the line. That may be the nail in for the Penn Hills Indians coffin.
May have been an exclamation point on this one, as D.R. Jenkins has just converted his 9th field goal of the game. One of those was a 3. What a game for Dier. 22 points. He'll try to make it 23 and give the Raiders a 12-point lead with 1:49 left.
And as we sit here, hats off to Ann Capozzi and the Albert Gallatin Lady Colonials. Tough defeat last night, but a great season again. Marissa Gudak finished to, I believe, with 26 last night. And turn it over. Red Raiders get it. And Chuck, you got the feeling that we are going to move on with the Red Raiders in the round number 2. But a good job by Ann Capozzi and her Lady Colonials. And they will be one of the teams to beat in Quad A next year.
I spent yesterday in the Albert Gallatin School District, and the girls players all were wearing shirts that said back-to-back section champs. They were very proud, very happy to be wearing those, and deservedly so. They've had a great 2-year run there at Albert Gallatin, and I agree with you, Joe. I think they're the team to beat next year in Section 2, with everybody mainly coming back. They lose a couple of one starter and one player off the bench, but Hall and Gudak are going to be back.
Yeah, they're going to be back, and I think Rachel Carpensi is back. I think the only one they lose is
Dawn Spence, and then Boscovich off the bench. But
gave
everybody else is
minutes
back.
this year.
No, absolutely.
But I'll tell you what, they'll be a force in the summer in undergrads.
That foul, by the way, on Nick Tenati was his 5th, so he fouls out of the game for the Indians, and Terrence Vaughn just driving another nail into the coffin from the line.
As Uniontown has kind of grabbed a hold of this ball game here in the 4th quarter. Rolls them both in. Uniontown now, biggest lead of the night of 14. Now skip it. Byron Knight. Nice jumper out of the corner, and that hits the side of the banking board. Taylor gets grabbed by Dier Jenkins. And
and then Taylor just shoved the ball right in Jenkins' face. And that's not good sportsmanship at all. Don't like to see that. And let's give Dier some credit.
I think Dier has walked the plank here.
Well, but give Dier some credit. He's going to walk past Taylor, but he didn't respond when Taylor just kind of left that ball right in his face. He kind of looked around for the officials, but a good play by Dier.
And Dier gets a good hand from the Uniontown faithful here. Brandon Duncan will replace Jenkins. Dier finishes, I believe, with 23 points on tonight.
9 field goals, 4 for 4 from the line, hit a 3-pointer, 23 points for Dier Jenkins. Back in the starting lineup, and I don't know, I just have a hunch here. I think he'll probably start in the second round too. Yeah, I think Dave Shuckle, well, not that he's superstitious or anything. I think he'll stay with that rotation.
And we need to congratulate the Turkeyfoot Rams on a great season, our friends out of District 5. And as we said before, as Taylor throws up a brick, they gave a great account of themselves last night against maybe, I think, the second best team in Class A in this side of the state. And you're probably going, why didn't he say the best? I think Kennedy Christian might be just a step above them.
Well, Monessen, of course, won the Whippeal, and we might get a chance to find out if those two teams hook up later on in the playoffs. Speaking of hooking up, not that you want to look too far ahead, of course, Uniontown has to focus on their next round, but I think everybody on this side of the state is hoping that we see Shenley Uniontown at some point in this tournament.
That would be an interesting one.
And it would be, of course, in the Western Finals.
I believe so. The way the bracket is set up. Terrence Vaughn's looking for double digits, and he gets them. So maybe Terrence finding a stroke at the foul line here late is going to help him in the next round.
Absolutely. 6 for 6 from the line and something to build on.
Tell you what, that young man right there, Stubblefield, can handle the ball. Knight pulls off a jumper with people hanging on his arms. I'll tell you what, don't be surprised if you see the Indians next year deep in the playoffs. Knight.
11-point game now, 55 seconds left. Again, nothing to worry about too much here for the Raiders. Not that means Dave Shuck's happy right now by a little sloppy play out there, but again, they seem to have things well in hand, and Duncan will now go to the line for 2.
I got Byron Knight now for 16, I do believe. Okay, they get decent guards, Penn Hills does. They're not a bad basketball team.
Yeah, exactly. Very good guard play, and of course Taylor in the middle as well looked very good early, and has looked good here in the fourth quarter. Was kind of silent during the second and third period.
Brandon Duncan buries the free throw. Good minutes again off the bench by Brandon tonight. 69-56, 13-point lead. Next up, either Altoona or Pine Richland. That long three. Nelson Jones, breakout here. Here comes Brandon Duncan, and a good decision by Brandon to pull it out. And the Uniontown Red Raiders now can punch the ticket to the next round, as they will move on into the second round of the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association. You like how I use the big words there. State playoffs.
It's a mouthful. It's a tongue twister, but
wow, and that ball went off the side of the eye. Wow.
Well, Jacobs going to go to the line now with 31 seconds left. 13-point Red Raider lead, and we're just counting down the time now. And the Raiders, who struggled so much offensively against Chartiers Valley until late in the game, when they were finally able to get some things going late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. But for the most part, they really struggled offensively. So you have to like the fact that you can look up at that scoreboard and see 70 points by the Raiders.
And another good sign is they've made their free throws here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, other than Jacobs and Jones, they've shot well from the free throw line.
And just as I say that, Chris throws one off the front of the rim. And now they turn it over again. And, you know, they've just self-destructed a little bit, Penn Hills has. But that'll happen with young kids. And I tell you what, they hadn't played for 3 weeks. I think gave a little bit better account of themselves than some people thought they were going to this afternoon.
Well, they had the lead early and played very, very well.
He's going to the line. But
they led on 2 occasions in the first period. Uniontown took a lead near the end of the first period and led 14-11 after 1 quarter, and they have led ever since. Penn Hills has not led since the first quarter, but still, they were able to stay within
striking distance.
Yeah, respectable distance there for quite some time. I think they can be proud of their season. Listen, they've lost to 2 very good teams. Chartiers Valley proving they weren't a fluke. They beat.
Oh yeah, they've lost to the 1 and 2 teams out of the Whitfield.
Exactly. And how about Chartiers Valley beating last year's champions and then the 1, 2, and 3 seeds in the WPIL playoffs? You can talk about third place in the section all you want, but that was no fluke by Char Valley.
Nah, they're a good basketball team. They always will be as long as Timmy's there. But I'll tell you what, if you're the head coach of Penn Hills, you got to be happy. For one thing is you got the extended practice time for your young kids. 71-56, Red Raiders lead it by 14. But you get that extra practice time.
Sure, absolutely.
And now you go into the off-season, undergrad, summer league, and your kids are 3 weeks ahead of everybody else's.
And it's never a bad experience to go up against a team like Uniontown.
Nope.
You're going to learn a lot.
We count down here 20 seconds. And jumper out of the corner. Will not go, and there's Terrence Vaughns, and Vaughns is going to make the long walk. The other way is Byron Knight fouls him. There
is nobody that Penn Hills will play in their section next year that's better than this Uniontown team they're playing right now. Well, so the fact that they'd say, hey, we played with them for a while, that's as you said, that's a confidence builder. And I guarantee you somewhere down the line this summer, these two will tangle in somebody's summer league or undergrad tournament. But, and you got to give Penn Hills came out of the same section as the Central Catholic Vikings. So Uniontown now slowly starting to win that section. And let's talk about Uniontown too, because this is a team that they had to be down. They expected the WPIL championship. They wanted the WPIL championship, and they lost in the WPIL championship game. And then they had to sit and think about that for a whole week before they could finally get back in action. They came to play this afternoon. They sure did. Terrence Vaughn's 8 for 8. Oh, tell you what, there's got to be a slick spot, and there's a hold there by Byron Knight. Somebody hurt. That is that's Blaine Givner.
You know, this floor now, and we've seen this when David Winfrey went down against McKeesport. That's like 3 or 4 times that the Penn Hills kids have slid going to the glass.
I thought Givner was hurt bad the way he was laying there, but yeah, he bounced right back up and looks to be okay.
Well, Terrence Vaughn's 8 for 8 from the foul line here.
But you know, I mean, there's 2 ways you respond to a disappointing loss like last week.
Go home or get strong.
Yeah, you pack it in, or you say, I can't wait to get back out on the court and win a game. Obviously, the Red Raiders took the latter route. Well, they wanted to get back out here. Here's
probably the speech to Coach Shuggut. We can either play for another 3 weeks in the state playoffs, or the Laurel Hines undergrad tournament starts in 2 weeks. You make up your mind here.
10 for 10 by Terrence from the stripe. Loving it. He has 14.
And it's a 19-point lead. Cut it down out of 16. A long 3 by Matt Pinotti. And the Uniontown Red Raiders have came to Ringgold tonight, this afternoon, excuse me, and have come away with a 75-59 opening round state playoff win. And you know what? We're going to step out and step back in as Chuck gets his stats set up. So we'll take a break. You watch the high school state playoffs on Herald Standard Television.
Are you receiving workers' compensation? Did you know you can obtain a lump sum settlement? Call one of the hometown professionals at Davis & Davis for a free consultation. Davis & Davis, a team of professionals working for you.
All right, as we welcome you back to Ringgold Senior High School in Monongahela, Pennsylvania. A very good start for the Uniontown area Red Raiders. An impressive 75-59 win over the Penn Hills Indians, as the road to Hershey has begun for the Uniontown Red Raiders. And Chuck, a little bit of a slow start, but they found the legs in the second quarter, used a big run at the end of the half, and then kind of cruised. I don't want to say cruised, but what's that word? Said middle of the ground there in the second half with the Penn Hills Indians.
Well, you know, I don't want to, you know, it's kind of tough. The standards have been set so high here at Uniontown because of what they've been able to accomplish in recent years that sometimes you tend not to appreciate what they've done. And I know there's been a lot of disappointment this week in Uniontown because they didn't get the prize they wanted to get, that WPIAL championship. You know, there's nothing wrong with finishing second in the WPIAL. But again, their hopes were so high. They were the #1 ranked team. They wanted that title, and it's very, very disappointing for them. But you can't do anything about that. That game is over. They didn't win it. They're never going to be the 2001 WPIAL champions. So you deal with what you can affect and what you can have control over, which is now the state tournament. You just rebound and you try to win. And Joe, as we sit here in the Ringgold Gymnasium and I take a look over at the wall at that beautiful banner that Ringgold has from when they won the Quad A state championship in boys basketball in 1995, you see how beautiful that banner is, and wouldn't Uniontown like to have a banner like that they could hang up? Yeah, they're disappointed they didn't win the Whippeals, but if they can win 4 more games after today's win, they erase all of that. Who's going to care about what happened last week at the Palumbo Center?
And for the Uniontown Red Raiders, De'Aaron Jenkins with an impressive performance back in the starting lineup tonight over this afternoon for Coach Dave Shuck. He finishes Chuck with 23 points. Terrence Vaughns with 14. I believe David Winfrey had 8.
Yeah, Chris Jacobs with 10 as well. Yeah. So three Raiders in double figures. McClee, Duncan with 6. Jones also, by the way, had 8. So nice balance, but De'Aaron Jenkins reinserted into the starting lineup. You like what he gives you off the bench with the offense, but he is such a natural scorer. He can shoot outside. He can also, he's a slasher. He's not really what you call a shooter as much as you would call him a scorer. You like to have that offense, and he really provided. He stepped up back in that starting lineup.
Good performance by Kevin McClee in the first half.
Sure.
Brandon Duncan with solid minutes as Uniontown picks up the win. Let's take a look at the Penn Hills Indians real quick. Byron Knight and Jason Taylor with 16 apiece for the Penn Hills Indians. Taylor really gave a good account of himself inside. Chuck, I want to go back. Maybe this game's changed. It was 36-26. My main man, Justin Stubblefield, got loose, couldn't throw the dunk down, and from there on, they never really gained. If they make that bucket, get it to 8, and then Jason Hart missed the dunk just a couple minutes later, this ball game could have been a lot tighter, plus the bad free throw shooting by Penn Hills. So the Indians, as much as Uniontown had a lot to do with that, Penn Hills kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Well, yeah, Penn Hills missed 10 from the free throw line, and that was a big difference. Uniontown, again, other than Jones and Jacobs, shot very well. Terrence Vaughns, especially with 10 for 10 from the line. Duncan was 4 for 4. Jenkins also was 4 for 4. So that was a big difference. But I think ultimately it was just that Uniontown's a better team. I think you could see that as they were out there. Penn Hills, a good team, played very well, but Uniontown was the superior team. and they felt that they had something to prove. They're disappointed that they didn't win the WPIAL. They want to go a long way in this state tournament. They didn't come to this tournament just to win 1 or 2 games. They came to get to Hershey like they did last year, only this time to win once they get to Hershey. But you can't win the state championship without winning the first round. They've accomplished that. Now it's on to the second round.
So that's going to wrap it up from Ringgold Senior High School, Monongahela, Pennsylvania, where the Uniontown Red Raiders have opened up the state playoffs with a big victory here over the Penn Hills Indians. Final score is 75-59. Up next for the Uniontown Red Raiders, either the Altoona Mountain Lions or the Pine Richland Rams. Well, I'm Joseph Hoke along with Chuck Durso. That's going to wrap it up. You've watched the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association basketball playoffs on Herald Standards Television. And as my man Eric told me, all broadcast rights are owned by the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association. We'll see you next week on the road to Hershey.